gentlemen, talk about the path that each of you have had to get where you are today. Talk a little bit about how your college days influenced where you are now in your careers. Dan, we'll start with you.
So I started off right here at Johnson & Wales, SCE major. Attended many of classes, facilities operations. One of them was ticketing, sales and operations. Once I graduated from Johnson & Wales, I knew I wanted to do something in sports, so I was looking out, seeking opportunities where I could do that. Started off, got my foot in the door at the Providence Bruins, doing assistant for ticket sales, group sales. Started off calling businesses. Started off there, did that for my first season, and then after that I got moved into group sales where I was calling schools. And after that I was there for about 3 or 4 years, moving up the ranks to where I'm at today for Vice President of Tickets and Events. Not only do I call group sales, but I also do season tickets. And along the path, I just realized how much I enjoyed sales. And one of the things I learned was never count something out before you do it. And sales was almost one thing that I counted out before I did it. So glad I stuck with it. Great spot right now with Providence Bruins. Thoroughly enjoy it. I'm just thankful to be here to talk to you guys about it today.
So I took a little bit of an unconventional path. I went to school in Philadelphia for criminal justice and started working with juvenile delinquents in North Philadelphia after graduation. And for reasons you can imagine, I took a step back and thought, is this what I want to do with my career? And at the time, I always wanted to work in sports. And so I transitioned from there into a sales job with a mortgage company. And then at that time, put my resume out there to all the teams in Philadelphia. And I got a full-time job with the Camden River Sharks right across the river in New Jersey in the Atlantic League, doing advertising sales for the team. And just took it from there. Primarily been doing advertising sales for teams, and that ownership group owned a couple other teams in the Atlantic League, and so I kind of went from there to Lancaster, PA, down to Maryland for a year, and then went up to the Wilmington Blue Rocks in minor league baseball with the Carolina League, and was director of sales for them. And then the ownership group that owns them offered me a position of assistant GM up here in Lowell with the Lowell Spinners. So took that as a good growth opportunity. And so here I am today, and overseeing ticket sales, marketing, and promotions for the Spinners.
So the 360 for me was I graduated in 2012, and I knew that I wanted to work within sports, but there were no job opportunities at the time, so I worked for a year for an IT consulting firm, and then shortly after that, I was offered a part-time sales position with the New England Revolution, and my role there was I was selling everything from single game tickets to group outings to full season ticket packages. So I was with the Revs for about 5 to 8 months, and I was offered a full-time role with IMG Learfield. They had just signed on Boston College as their latest client, and my role there as an AE was I was selling football, basketball, and hockey. And I was there for 2 years, so I had worked my way up from AE to senior AE, and then I was overseeing the ticket sales. And my role there was to bring people in for men's football, men's basketball, and hockey, selling everything, season tickets, single tickets. And after that, I was over at Ace Tickets. They're a ticket agency, and full menu items, concerts, sporting events, theater, VIP packages, everything. And I spearheaded the corporate sales for them. I was there for about 8 months, but my passion is within the music world, and I was offered a full-time job earlier this year with Live Nation, and I'm the VIP sales manager for Northeast shows. So I oversee 4 to 5 of the music venues here, and I focus heavily on businesses and helping them out with their client outings, staff outings for the shows.
So after graduating college, a lot like you guys, I was looking for an internship and applied a bunch of different places, ended up falling with the Aspire group at Louisiana Tech, went through a pretty rigorous interview process, probably 3 or 4, with one of my now mentors. And just about a year ago, he told me I was the only one that applied for the position, even though I went through about 3 or 4 interviews. But that was a blessing for me because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But that was the first time I had any sort of experience with sales. It got me on the track with the Aspire group, and I've been with them the remainder of my career here. So went from there to the University of Minnesota as an account exec, then a couple of years there, went to University of Kansas to run the new sales there at KU, and then the opportunity presented itself about 9 months ago when UConn was starting up their initial sales staff to run the show there. So now I'm the director of ticket sales at UConn.
Thank you very much. All right, gentlemen, let's something that they all are thinking about now, they're sitting in classes and taking notes. But talk about what life is like after college, and what a day in the life is for you. What go to work, what happens between, sometimes some of you, 7 in the morning and 12 at night, or sometimes on the weekends, or tell us a little bit about what a day in the life is in your job. And Brian, we'll start with you.
I can say on a macro level, one of the best pieces of advice I got early on in my first year actually was working in baseball. The gentleman told me that you'll figure out within the first 3 years whether you want to make this a career or not, because 3 years will give you plenty of time to really get exposed to everything that goes into working in the baseball industry, because it's a grind. A lot of home games, a lot of games that run together with home stands, and a lot of hours. And you have to be open to moving to other parts of the country where opportunities are. And it's really a lifestyle, I can say. So on a macro level, that's really, I think, the biggest part about what goes into our day-to-day. And it's so much more than a job in 9 to 5. But for me, you wear many different hats in minor league baseball. Yesterday, I was doing everything from sitting down with one of our ticket sales reps, analyzing renewals on mini plans, to finalizing a design on a Rick Porcello bobblehead that makes him a wrestler with a World Cy Young Championship belt that we're going to tweet at Kate Upton when we unveil it. But it's many different things, and it keeps you on your toes. But I love that type of atmosphere and pace.
Yeah, so I would say that my day, there's no such thing as a standard day. Working in sports and music, new things are happening every single day. And I try to break my day down into sections. So I'll probably make about 50 to 65 phone calls to new businesses, trying to set up face-to-face meetings with them. So that would take a solid, 3 to 4 hours out of my day. Then I have follow-ups. So I'll follow up with all my clients that I have, just to say, hey, what can I do for you? That'll take, solid 2.5 hours. And then I have my meetings. So we meet with marketing, PR, everyone to, make sure that everything is good to go for show day. I have reports that I have to fill out and send to my team every day. That takes a solid, 2 or 3 hours. So, like Brian said, working in this field, it's all about managing your time because things are, being thrown at you left and right, and there's just, so much that, you have to get done. And working in this industry, it's, not a 9 to 5. So, everyone says they want to work within, sports and like entertainment, but it's very hard to get there. It's even harder to, stay here because, for 1 or 2 reasons. One, it's not as glamorous as you may think it is, or 2, it's a grind because, like I said, it's not a 9 to 5. You're working, 7 days a week, and you're always on call. So.
Yeah, I was gonna use the word Brandon used was grind. I think you got to really embrace that. Not that we're overselling it, but you want to make sure that it is most days it's going to be your typical 9 to 5, but obviously events happen and getting your name out, especially a lot of us that are in sales too. You really can never take that sales hat off. If you want to be successful, you have to always be looking for opportunities. So I think it's important to obviously have that work-life balance. Is something I really stress with my staff, is having that time to really plan those things that you can get away and kind of, not always be in it, but like a lot of these guys have touched on, it's, there's in the sports industry, you're always on call. There's always something that's going on. There's, hirings, firings, just different things that happen that you can't control. So you have to be ready to answer that call or be ready to jump into action at any time. So.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of what these guys have already said. It's a long season depending on what you're in. For hockey, we're a 6-month season. A lot of weekend games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So during the season, you can pretty much count your weekends out. During the week, though, you're working anywhere 55, 60 hours. During the week, though, it's just calling, getting people on the phone, talking to them. You're going to get as much out of it as you put into it. So if you just want to sit there, you sit there. But just call. We do a lot of hard work. We're doing everything from selling tickets to following up with people to meeting with people. I was just out on the road yesterday going to a parent-teacher conference, setting up a booth there and just talking with people. I go out and I try and find business. I don't want the business just to come to me. So I'm always looking for opportunities where I can go out and grow my market. So I never know if I'm going to be on the road or if I'm going to be, here speaking to you guys or just in the office. So a lot of hard work, dedication. A lot of times I sell more than just tickets. I sell an experience. And that's what I look at. I look at the experience. I can sell these people a ticket, but when they come, I want to make sure they leave with a smile on their face. So it's a great opportunity to just grow with a company, grow with people, and then just be able to do stuff like this that makes what we do every day, worth it. So.
Thank you. So two buzzwords we hear a lot in the sports and entertainment industry these days, especially in the ticketing business, are technology and analytics. Talk a little bit about how you think technology and analytics has impacted your job now, and how do you think it will impact your job going forward? And Brandon, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been within sales for the past 6 years now, and I've seen it grow from, selling in person to online. I mean, I'm sure that these guys can agree that everyone these days is online, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever have you. So over the past 5 years, I've seen, setting up meetings now, just transforming to selling online. So LinkedIn has been huge for me. I found, several new clients within the past 2 or 3 months just by posting on Twitter, on LinkedIn. As you said, analytics, numbers is huge. Like, it's a numbers game now. So being able to analyze, who's buying what, when are they buying, has helped huge. We have sales tools that we've used right now at Live Nation, that I've used at Boston College, that can track who's in the neighborhood, who's coming out to what sporting event, what shows, how much they're spending. So it's definitely changed over the past several years.
Yeah, I would say with just the evolution of technology and texting and mobile, those things kind of come with the way people want to consume their tickets, how they want to scan in for the games has changed in my 6 years. It's now a lot more mobile. It's a lot less paper tickets. But I think for the sales aspect, we got to continue to get more targeted because, again, less and less people are picking up a phone call. So we need to make sure that for my staff, we're looking at who's opening certain things. Again, looking at the analytics, making sure that I'm putting my staff in the best position possible so that the person on the other end is as ready to consume what they our product, basically UConn, and they're ready to go, so that conversation is more beneficial, more for our reps' time. So I think it's there's a lot of different things that change, but I think those are some of the things that we're seeing is it's more mobile, it's more online sales. The secondary market is more of the primary now. There's a lot of different things that have changed in the past few years.
Yeah, technology, I mean, just in the 5 years that I've been with the Bruins, technology's grown huge. I used to be able to talk to a lot more people on the phone. They'd pick up on your first phone call and talk to you. Now it's I'm texting somebody at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, trying to wonder about tickets or worry about getting everything organized. So technology's definitely played a huge role over these last few years, especially today, not just for the clients, but also for the company itself. Having the resources we have now with the programs that come on out, it makes it a lot easier for us to be able to reach out to these people, email blast, whatever it is. You push one button, everybody's email's in, and you send out an email blast, and they're responding back within 10, 15 minutes. So, but also just for company-wise, it helps us, so it takes up a lot less time for us not having to go through papers to try and find everything. We can just put everything into a computer program, and it tells us what our goals are, if we've met them, how much we need to, and where we need to go from there. So technology's definitely played a huge role, and it's helping, I think, us as an industry where sports is one thing that's continuing to grow. Entertainment's continuing to grow. So for us, the more time that we have to be able to make the sales, the more it's going to help us. So technology's definitely played a huge role for us.
Brian?
For me, I'm a huge analytics guy, and a big part of that too is how we use that data. Because if we don't use it, it's really useless to us. And so I'm all about working smarter and about efficiency. And I can just give a quick example of how we're trying to apply that data. Where one of the first things I did when I got up to Lowell is I created a heat map. And so basically what I did was I took all the individual and group ticket sales by zip code from the previous year, and I ranked them. And so then I took a map of Massachusetts by zip code. And so I tiered out that list. I had a red, an orange, a yellow, and a green. And then I color coordinated that zip code map with those colors, because I wanted to see how strong of a footprint we had and how large of a footprint we had. And so that was like an eye-opening moment for a lot of people on our staff, that we get so consumed about our backyard that really we can see that organically we're getting a bunch of fans coming from different areas. And we found that the whole northeast segment of Massachusetts we really have a footprint in, all the way out to the coast. And so it's like, okay, what do we do with that from here? And so getting much more strategic with our proactive sales approaches, pairing that with efficient marketing, so that we're placing our messaging in specific geographical areas so that we can make those hot zones even hotter. So turn the oranges into reds and the yellows into oranges, so we can really strengthen our strong footprint, but also build outward and really expand on our strong zone with that footprint and that heat map. So that's just one example, but no doubt, and it's an evolution, especially in minor league baseball. We're getting much more sophisticated as an industry, and it's a changing of the guard, where in minor league baseball you have a lot of old school staff members, mainly on the senior level, and it's teaching old dogs new tricks. But you got this young wave of very intelligent, driven individuals like yourselves that are sitting in these chairs that are the future. And it's really about how you apply that data and analytics to making an efficient business operation.
Great. So that's a great transition into what I'd like to ask now. So if you're going to hire one of these students out here to work for you and your organization, what skill set do you think they need to have? And what kind of personality are you looking for when you hire somebody to work for your organizations? Tyler, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm a big, just kind of, a lot on feel when I'm interviewing, but yeah, we want to hire good people first. If you have, we have 7 characteristics that I look for in a employee, but a lot of them are the traditional ones. Your hard work, do you have the integrity that I need in a sales role? But yeah, I want someone that's really passionate about what they're selling, and they want to be in sales. So that person has to really blow me away with the passion, because you get into a role that I'm hiring for. If you don't have that passion, the fans or the group that you're targeting really, they don't feel that. So I want someone that's really passionate about the role and passionate about growing their career in sports. I think I want someone that wants to advance in sports. I don't hire anyone for any of my roles that wants to stay in the role that I'm hiring them for. I want them to aspire to a lot more. So, that's something that I look for is a lot more than just what the current role that they're applying for, but really, where do they want to go and how passionate are they and how driven are they to get there. So that's what I would say on that question.
Also, give me 2 skills. What 2 skills would be on the top of your list in terms of things
I would say, definitely have those personal skills that you can use, networking skills. Those are huge. Be able to go into a room of people that you don't know and be able to strike up a conversation with anyone. Those will help you in all assets of this business, not only sales, but just to have that as a skill. And then, yeah, just be persistent in anything you do. Don't give up the first try if you don't get the position you want. Sales-wise, don't give up on the first call. I'd say that persistency and also being able to grow your brand networking-wise are two key skills that you can really go far in this industry.
Yeah, I'd say one of the big things I would look for is just dedication, hard work, persistence. I want to look for things. If you're dedicated about the interview and you're persistent and you're hardworking and you're pushing for the job, then that's going to show me a lot, because sales is a lot of those things. It's a lot of hard work, dedication, persistence, where you can't give up on your first shot, because a lot of times the sale isn't going to come on your first call. So just hard work, really push for it, and you can tell a lot from a person in an interview if they're paying attention and they're really focused on it, and they're asking questions and they're answering without having to wait for somebody else's answer. Be the first person to talk and give an answer. And just I think two of the skills is, personal skills are huge, because you're going to be talking with people every day, not just on the phone, but also in person. And then I think just dedication. Be dedicated to not only, the work that you're putting in, but dedicated to, growing the company and yourself. I would say one of the big things is when you go in for an interview, have a plan. Have a plan that you're looking for the next, so many years, 5-year plan or whatever, because that's what an employer wants to hear, is you have a plan set to grow yourself and not just to stay put for a few years and not grow.
Well, I totally agree with what's already been said, but I guess the one thing I could add is really, what you already mentioned was character. I really look a lot into character, but also drive. And I want to be able to get out of people's way and know that I can really trust them, that they don't need to be pushed. They have an internal drive and a passion to really develop a good career for themselves, because that's exactly how I see with myself, is that going back to the first question, it is a grind, it is a lifestyle, but I absolutely love going to work every day. I love that it consumes me outside of 9 to 5. And seeing people, if you can see that type of trait in somebody, it's like a huge, huge plus. And so that that you can get out of that person's way. You don't have to micromanage that person, because they will run on their own. And we want to be able to put those types of people in positions to succeed.
So two things that I look for when I'm hiring someone is, are they a hustler, and are they personable? Two things that are huge if you're talking about sales, because you have to have a certain mindset, that you want to, do this. You have to realize that, you may be making, 100 phone calls and only get, 5 yeses. Someone that's a hustler, knows that, all it takes is one yes, and then, you're going to be fine. Someone that is personable, someone that can just talk to anybody, that can walk into a room full of, 200 people, not know a single, a single person, and be able to, say, hi, how are you? This is what I do. Those are two things that are huge. Characteristics and traits, someone that's an entrepreneur. I look for someone that can come in and can, think outside of the box and, think of new ways to, sell tickets. Anybody can just make phone calls and, do like this or that, but it takes entrepreneur to, think outside of the box and, figure out, what haven't we done, what's not working, what can be done. Is it a theme night? Is it, targeting, someone else? Because when you're working in sales, you're managing your own book of business. Like Brian said, there are managers out there that are over your shoulder. There are some out there that are, say, hey, Brandon, here is a lead list. Do what you want with it, and then run with it. But over the past, 5 or 6 years, I built up a book of business, over 5,000 clients that, I work with every day now. And I've, said to myself, how do I maintain them, so that when I go to a, new role, what can I do to, have them there with me?
Great, thank you. So let's talk about the future. So if you could open your, look into your crystal ball, are we going to be talking about the same thing 10 years from now when we have to take a talk? Or what do you think we'll be talking about 10 years from now? Dan, we'll start with you.
I think in 10 years, you're going to be still talking about technology and how it's grown even more. It's tough to say. I mean, right now, the way you see in just a short period of time, you go from phone calls to technology. I think a lot of it's going to be with technology, a lot more face-to-face meetings instead of phone calls because email blasts and people ordering online. And then just going out and meeting people face-to-face, I think is going to grow even more than it does now. Right now, it's a lot of sitting behind, a computer and a phone and just calling. But I think more people going out there, interacting with people, going out and actually, I think working harder to, go make that relationship right off is going to be huge. But technology is definitely still something that's going to, continue to grow from year to year. So just some more experience and the more knowledge that people get, it's just going to continue to grow over time.
So my answer to that is, I read an article by Mark Cuban a couple weeks ago, and he said the most important skill 10 to 15 years from now will be creative thinking, because with the rapid advancement of technology and analytics, there will be an automation of automation when it comes specifically to jobs. But it's back to my earlier point, like if you don't do anything with that data, it becomes useless. And so a need for having creative minds. And I think, so if we hit the fast forward button, that I think could be where this conversation could change, is with creativity. And, I love how minor league baseball is even, I think we are the guinea pigs for a lot of things. And what we're trying to create and do in our industry, the more that we do it successfully, the more that it's replicated from higher levels. And months ago, we were sitting over at Fenway, and I was talking to the director of special events there for the Red Sox, and he's talking about their Star Wars night. And he's sitting there talking to all of us minor leaguers, and he said, "Do you guys do like a Star Wars night?" And we kind of laughed, like we kind of really created this Star Wars night stuff and turned it into ways that we could sell tickets. So it's kind of funny. I think that's a clear example of that it's gonna evolve, and people just don't show up for the games. You see that in the challenges of baseball and not being an entertaining game as it used to be for this generation. But I think creative ways and creative thinking will be very important 10, 15 years from now.
I think in terms of ticket sales, it's, as much as technology is taking over now, in the next, 5 or 10 years, it's going to take over more, because nowadays, if you go online to buy, tickets, there's a, robot or some, like G-Chat where you can, go into like the website and you can just, say, I'm looking for, 2 tickets to this, or, like 2 tickets to that. So a lot of it is going to be automated. I know that when I was over at Ace Ticket and I was doing the corporate sales for them, I was on like the website while I was making phone calls, and I would always get, 10 people that would just chat like within, like 5 minutes. And it's all about convenience nowadays. You don't want to call Ticketmaster, wait on the phone for, 10, 15 minutes for someone. You just want to, call up the box office, go online, say, here's my budget, here's, what I want, what do you have for me? With that being said, like Brian said, I think it's going to come down to you guys, being creative, thinking outside of the box, figuring out ways, how to bring more people into the stadiums. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, what does happen, but, there's no doubt that technology, will take over, someday. And like I said, it all comes down to, clients wanting best bang for your buck, easy way to, get tickets. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think definitely in the college space, it's a lot more, the reason that, a a lot of new sales offices and more of an outbound approach has started is because it is harder to get people to the games. That technology is a good thing for us in the ticketing business, but it also makes it easier for our fans to consume it from multiple different platforms. So I think really from our industry, it's creating those value adds. It's creating those things that you can't. It's not just it's not just here's my $20, here's a ticket. There's those incentives in there. There's different ways, those group experiences, those different things that we can do to add some more value to our tickets, make it a happening place to be, and really drive some things there. And I think too, the season ticket market is going to be interesting. I know, depending on what you're selling or what team you're with, there's more of an emphasis on season tickets, but in the college space, there's been a general decline of season tickets and more of a I'll just buy a ticket when I need to. There's less value there, so it'll be interesting to see what that evolves into basically, and see if that's still something that teams really lean on, or if it's more of a game by game approach. So I'm interested to see how that's gonna shake out.
Great, thank you. All right, last question before we turn it open to the audience and let them ask a question. So both panels, I've heard the word grind you off, and how hard you have to work. But talk a little bit about what's enjoyable about what you do. You all talked about your passion for what you do, but what's enjoyable? And then also tell us a little bit about what was something that was really a lot of fun that you have done in your job. What was something that brought a smile to your face? Brian, we'll start with you.
I guess I can combine the two. I said it a couple times already, but I love minor league baseball, and I love the creativity that industry encourages. And so last year or 2 years ago, I was sitting down with Krispy Kreme, and they tasked us with wanting to come up with something that incorporates their food product into the ballpark. And I started thinking, and it dawned on me that hot dogs are a ballpark staple, but nobody's ever combined a hot dog with a glazed donut. And so what I did was I went over there and they made me a custom donut in the shape of a hot dog bun. And I know we're in New England, so they do like a different kind than a bun, like where I'm used to in Pennsylvania. But so we paired it with that, and then I said, well, that's not good enough. The salty sweet flavor was great, but I said we need to double down. So we put raspberry jelly and bacon on top of it, and we created this donut dog. And so I'm on this local radio show in the morning, and we launched this thing. We put it on Twitter, and then Darren Ravel takes a hold of it, and then it's like wildfire. It's like that day, that 24 hours was like an incredible 24 hours, because that day it's in USA Today, it's in Sports Illustrated, it's here, it's there, it's even in England. They were like, this is the reason what's wrong with America right here. And people were calling it like the diabetes dog, or like they were like loving it or hate it. And then like it was like such a fun ride. And it, I always would say, like, I felt like the guy from Men's Warehouse, where I say you're gonna like the way it tastes, I guarantee you. But most people were like either for or against it. But it was just like an incredible time. And when we had opening day, we had a line for 45 minutes for people waiting to try one of these. And we came up with a whole name it contest, and we came up with the Sweeney, that it was baseball's sweetest weenie. And it was just a really enjoyable thing to have that process of having a vision for something and having it come to life and really have people love it and respond to it. And that's a very enjoyable part about my job and what we do and what we can do.
Brandon, one of the enjoyable.
I would say the best part about what I do for a living is the emails and texts that I get after saying, Brandon, those seats were the best. That night that you gave us 2 free tickets to Drake was the best night of my life. Whatever it is, just when I follow up with my clients to see how everything went, and they say that everything was awesome. All that hard work, that went into making that, one sale that, may took 2 weeks to, finally close, was well worth it. I save all my emails, all my, testimonials, because, when I go home at night and I say, all right, like that day was just crazy. I only made, 10 or 15 sales. I see those, and, that's why I do what I do. So, yes, working within this field, it is a grind, but the satisfaction, that you get, there's nothing better to it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I like best is seeing those who I've hired or I've trained or, I've been influencing their career in the spots that I've been, seeing them step up to their next level of their career. So getting the texts and the calls and saying, hey, I've gotten to a management position, I've gotten to a higher position. Those are really what drives me to continue to train and educate and bring the next next executives like yourselves, future executives to that next level in their career. But yeah, just echoing, everything these guys said too, filling that building. We just had an incredible 100th victory in a row for our women's basketball team, and we had a lot of things that were against us. We had a Monday night, 9 o'clock, was a lot of things, and our AD was really, we wanted to make it a sellout, create a great atmosphere for this potential 100th win in a row, and we did it. We ended up at the last second, we sold it out, and really that game, it was a tight game throughout, but in the second half, the crowd took over, and I mean, it was just the other team didn't stand a chance because it was a great crowd. Our team was playing well, and just seeing that kind of crowd, that's something that our team helped to create, and seeing how our team responded, and just comments after the game, like the crowd was amazing, and it's when it turns into from just a game to an event, and I love being able to see that from things that my team and I have been able to accomplish. So I would say that's definitely a highlight.
Yeah, I'd say one of the highlights for me is working in the department I work in. I work in group sales, so I call out to schools for them to be able to come out and sing right on the ice prior to the game or do performances or whatever it may be. And knowing that it's a lot of hard work to lead up to that day. But once they come out and just seeing the kids, how they're jumping around, smiling, laughing, having a great time, and then you see them during the game and they're saying hello to you because they remember your face when you were with them. That's part of what makes everything worth it, the long hours and all the hard work that goes into it, just seeing the kids smiling and having a good time, and then coming back, the year after year, just continuing to do it because they had such a great time and such a memorable experience is what I go to work every day for. It's not about, for me, not about just making the money. It's about, making, a kid's dream and, making sure they have a good time while they're there, so.
All right, let's open it up to the floor now. We've got probably 10 or 15 minutes here. Anybody has any questions? Privilege taking, if you can go to the side and ask on the microphone, that would be great. Just get up. If you've got a question, just get up and walk towards the microphone next.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for all the information you provided today. It's really crucial and great to hear some of the ideas you were talking about, applying integrity in real-world scenarios. So myself, I want to see what is your feedback on more ticket sales operators providing nonprofit organization outreach for events within the LGBT community, organizations such as NA and AA, and demographics that tie together with veterans building services.
Would you mind taking that Yankees hat off first? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
After in 2009, I went to New York City and I worked in the ticket sales agency for Circle Line at St. Louis as well. We got ticket sales agency that was a really good opportunity. We partnered with the top of the block Empire State Building and this past year was really so I had a pride for my city as well. So I'm not
It's all good. It's all good. I was just joking.
Yeah, I would just love to get some of your feedback. I think it's really important demographic touch based on, especially with veteran crisis prevention outreach. There's some amazing organizations out there, and it's great to see athletes and organizations that are teaming together to maximize the lives of their game from crisis prevention in times like today.
Who wants to start?
I could start by saying, so this year I was at the winter meetings, and Pat O'Connor's Commissioner of Minor League Baseball, he was leading a diversity seminar, and he started by saying that he was reading a USA Today recently, and on the cover it said by the year 2025, over 50% of all the children born in the United States will have parents of two different nationalities. And he was saying that that is something of great importance for us as an industry, that we have to diversify in how we build promotions and connect with different nationalities, and you mentioned when it comes to sexuality as well, like the whole gambit. We have to really try to find ways to really connect and diversify and connect with specific organizations or groups. Veterans are always something of big importance to us as well. Personally, it means a lot to me. Trying to find ways that we can utilize our stadiums as a stage. Specifically, we're trying to do this Hiring Our Heroes event, where I think one big hot button that's not really talked about enough is a transition into civilian life, and trying to open doors for people. So the idea is really we would have basically a job fair at the game, 15 hiring companies throughout the concourse that are specifically trying to interview and fill positions for veterans. That it's just that type of networking atmosphere and a ball game at the same time. But really, that's the biggest thing, of trying to find specific ways that we can connect with various groups.
Thank you so much for the
It's all good. Just checking.
Anybody else want to chime in on that question?
Yeah, I think just from our standpoint, one of our biggest missions from UConn is obviously diversity and inclusion for everyone. So it's a big thing that we definitely, when it comes through the hiring process or with our events too, is making sure we're as diverse and as inclusive as possible. So definitely a mission from our entire university and also athletics as well. Especially with our student athletes. We have a lot of international student athletes that come from different countries and different backgrounds. We really have a wide scope, so we want to make sure we're as diverse and as inclusive as we can.
My question is for you, Tyler, specifically. Obviously, the men's team, the men's basketball team is successful in the year. The women's team might lose again. How do you use those sports to sell a sport you might struggle with sales? I don't know, football team hasn't been for a couple of years. How do you use those to drive throughout?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to have and to have great programs, and we definitely do that. And I would harken back to a thing at Kansas that we have. Obviously, when I was at Kansas, we had a great men's basketball program, and the football program is in a rebuilding phase of where they're at. But really using that momentum, using different things with whether it's rewarding our fans via priority points or different incentives that. If you're supporting both programs, you're going to get that are separate from just our fans who come to men's basketball or women's basketball. So really using those fans and creating those loyalty programs, Riley, to be able to say if you support all of our programs, you maybe get a little bit extra than just if you support. And we value all of our supporters, whether they're just men's or women's basketball fans or football fans. But I think really using those things, those little things that we can do to incentivize all year-round support, because we call ourselves we brand UConn Nation, so hopefully everyone at least is coming to something, come to one or two football games, try it out, see how you like it, but creating those little incentives here and there to really reward our fans is something that we try to do to help all of our sports, not only football, but men's and women's soccer, even our non-ticketed sports too, using those larger programs to help sell those is definitely important to us.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you guys for all being here today. I just had a quick question. You guys have touched upon your work experience and you've given us so much advice today, but is there one thing that, like one piece of advice, if you could go back in time and give yourself, you would?
Great question. Who wants to start? If you go back in time and give yourself some advice on how to get where you are today, what would you advise yourself? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
So the best piece of advice that I would give to you guys today, if you guys walk away with anything from me, is that I was someone that, was so caught up in these four walls, just in the classroom, not, putting myself out there, doing internships. And this was during my freshman year. And I, quickly realized that there's just so much more out there, not to, put down school or whatever have you, but the experience that you're going to get outside of these four walls is huge. Because you're going to meet, so many new people. You're going to, do internships, volunteer work, and the world is so big. It's not just, these four walls. So the knowledge and the experience that you can gain outside is, going to do wonders for you guys. So don't, get so caught up in, getting, an A+ or whatever it is on every single test or quiz or whatever have you. There's way more to it than that.
Yeah, I think one thing, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier is going here at Johnson & Wales, I took a lot of the same classes you guys are taking now. And I always looked at it as which classes did I get the most out of and enjoy the most? And that was what I was basing what I wanted to do for a career. I can tell you, I took the ticketing class with Professor Eskelson, and I enjoyed it, but ticketing was not something that I wanted to do. Sales was like the first thing. Biggest thing, never count something out before you try it, because it could end up leading to something that you actually really enjoy and making a career out of. I'm sitting here today, 5 years later, VP of sales for, the Providence Bruins. If you would have asked me that when I graduated from college, I would have said you were crazy. So never count something out before you try it. Also, while you're here, get as much experience doing stuff as you can. Internships after internship after internship, whether it's for credit or whether it's not for credit, to put it on your resume, to get the experience is going to help you down the road to really lead to, helping you grow, to succeed at whatever you do. But it's also going to get you just knowledge of what different companies and different, types of industries, have to offer. So.
I could just echo that and say that make yourself more marketable than the next person. And usually that comes to experience. And when we said about certain traits that we look for and like drive and things like that, you see that through experience and how proactive somebody was. Like if somebody's a senior and they're coming for an internship, their first one, that is different than somebody who has experience maybe their junior year, or maybe they took a summer position with a team. That if you've loaded up before you've graduated, it does put yourself in a better position, and that's one thing I could say. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, grow your personal brand and really make, not only for the positions that you have, because your work that you do at each organization that you get experience with will speak for itself, and that'll be part of your personal brand. But yeah, really grow that. Try to find different ways to network, not only in industry, so with everyone in this room and everyone up here, but also in different other industries too. And a lot of times that'll help grow, your personal brand as well. And I guess one really specific thing that I see from myself when I was coming out and into the workforce, and also for staff that I've hired, is really have really good computer skills, have that really good understanding of Excel training, Word, any sort of Microsoft Office program, because I think a lot of times there's a lot of things there if you are really strong in some of those specific areas that are just different skills that maybe someone else might not have. So really have those good computer skills, and you'll go really far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. My question is centered around your promotions and ticketing. In essence, what is your biggest ticketed item in your promotions, and how do you, quote unquote, close the deal? What tactics might you use to persuade your buyers or fans, and where did you learn those particular tactics or skills?
Yeah, I guess I'm never afraid to talk, so that's never been something someone's accused me of. So, yeah, I would say our premium items that we have. So whether you're talking about courtside seating or suite sales for football, those are really high dollar items, and I always tell my reps that it's very hard to sell those particular items over the phone. It's really a relationship that you have to build. So, I would highly encourage to be able to sell those. Those are sold through events. Those are sold face to face, and really building a good relationship. It's more than just one phone call to be able to close an item like that. So really, it's a face to face. It's building a relationship with somebody, and that will translate into them being comfortable with making that sort of large purchase. So.
Well, I think at the root, experiences that you can provide people is always the biggest thing. And I guess I can add in specific ways. I've been trying to leverage brand power, where I mentioned Star Wars. Like Star Wars has just such a broad audience that, that is our top selling promotion. But last year, I got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they watch Paw Patrol, the Nickelodeon show. And I watch it too. I think, we're kind of selective. We're like an anti-Caillou house. Like, you'll never watch Caillou. So like, I started walking around. I was at like a Target, and like, I'm seeing Paw Patrol everywhere. And long story short, I worked out a partnership with Nickelodeon where we did a Paw Patrol night. Nickelodeon designed our uniforms, hats, jerseys, even the socks for Chase and Marshall. We had characters there at the ballpark, and for me, it was like, I thought of like Disney World. Like, kids and parents and like seeing that like the characters are gonna be at all this Paw Patrol stuff, that like, where else would their kid get that experience? Because it doesn't exist. Now it does, because they're doing Nickelodeon Live or Paw Patrol Live, but like before that, like, it didn't exist. We rolled that out on social media, and we sold that game out in 3 weeks. And it cost us $0 to market it. And you would have thought it was the second coming of the Beatles, that game. Like, parents were going out of their mind with these characters that were there, like trying to get pictures with their kids and everything. And it was all about the experience. And you couldn't get that experience anywhere else. And you certainly couldn't get it next week or the week after. Clear urgency, and people responded. So and the more we can do stuff like that, the better.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else want to comment? Any more questions? Thanks for the question. Sure. We're a great panel of industry professionals up here. That's right. All right. I'm just going to ask them then, concisely and precisely, which I tell all my students all the time, your final remarks on ticketing, access management, the best seats in the house, ticket talk, take whatever subject you want, and give us some concluding remarks on what they should know here today. I'll give you a minute to think about it.
Who in here has had an internship? Okay, so that's a.
I like that the panel asking you questions.
All right. I mean, just shout out real quickly. What's the reason why you guys haven't had one yet? Internship, volunteer work, anything? Can't decide what you want to do? Okay. What else?
No one, I haven't been accepted then yet.
Okay. What else? Understandable. Yep. Well, you said that you don't have enough time, or you can decide. So the whole purpose of an internship is to figure out what you do like and what you don't like. So that's why I said a few minutes ago, I figured out that I need to do as much volunteer work and internship work during my freshman year. I figured out, very, very, very quickly, I did not want to do PR. I, wanted to do, sports, sales. So an internship is the exact reason, why you, say, okay, this is something that I, do want to do. And then, an internship can also lead to, full-time work. Balancing a full-time job, I get it. That's understandable. I mean, I was once in your shoes, and I said like the same thing. There's no time for any. So one of my, slogans is there's no time for anything, so make time for everything. There's always enough time somehow, some way, whether it's at night, on the weekends, or whatever have you. But you just got to figure out, how to balance your time, because time management is everything. And yes, an internship may not pay you, so I get that. But if you can get credit, that's awesome. But the most invaluable thing is the experience.
My question off of that is, I know a lot of the internships I kept running into is, I'm a senior in graduating this spring. So I only had a 4.5 credit class left to do an internship with. That's like just last minute experience, getting out there, getting active with it. And it only affords me about 12 hours per week in office or on menu. And it's hard in essence because you're trying to find another job in order to pay for the unpaid internship,
That's a great question. I mean, speaking from experience, I've never been in that position, so excuse my negligence on that. But I mean, yeah, like they can't, hire you for free because if you can't take credit and they can't pay you, then that's illegal. So that's a sticky situation. But what I found is that, and this I am speaking from experience. If you've interned somewhere for 6 to 8 months, you bust your behind, you hit all your numbers and whatnot. When it comes time to graduate, which you will be very shortly, and, you go to that company and say, here's what I have to offer you. Create an actual business plan for them. To bring in new business. In their eyes, they're going to be like, wow. And that's exactly what I did when I was graduating, and I landed my first-time job there. I was interning, I was working part-time, and then I said, you know what, here's why you should hire me. And now we're talking, salary, commission, numbers, and all that fun stuff. But that is a tricky situation that you're in because it's legal issues. So. Yeah.
I can say, at least for minor league baseball, they are addressing that. I mean, and to your point, the game has changed. Society has changed. The days of just getting interns that you're not really compensating much, that is all changing. So on a positive note, if that, for what it's worth, the teams are starting to address that and recognizing that yeah, we do have to compensate people. It can't just be internships where we're just getting for college credit. So I hope that offers some type of positivity to that.
Any other parting remarks, Jim?
I could say that, I was at a Philadelphia 76ers job fair years and years ago with the team I was with, and we were looking for entry-level positions. And they had one of the senior management people from the Sixers talk to the group, and he said something that has always stood out to me. And he said, go to the teams that nobody wants to go to. He said, everyone wants to work for the Sixers, or everyone wants to work for the Yankees, or everyone wants to work for the Red Sox. But guess what? So does everybody else. Go to the teams that nobody wants to go to so that you can make a name for yourself. You can really be in a position to excel and build your personal brand and build a resume that has specific examples of you excelling in your portfolio in a way. But that's one thing I could say that if I could offer any advice, and it's being open to moving. If you ask me if I could change anything from when I started out, I was I was between Harrisburg and Philadelphia my whole life, and I wasn't too big on leaving that area. All my family, all my friends were there, but I think if people are open to moving and exploring other parts of the country, following opportunities, that can really help you advance and excel.
Yeah, I would say just piggybacking off that, become critical to the organization that you work for. What skills do you have that somebody else doesn't have? What do you bring every day that everyone else doesn't bring? What are those critical things that you can add value to the organization? 'Cause that's really what any organization, I think we talked a lot about creativity up here. What are those things that you are, we call it mission critical. How are you critical to your organization? Find those things when you're in that hiring process of getting a job, or once you get your first job. What are the things that if they lost you, what would they be lacking because you are so critical to that organization? So find those things that of your skill set that you can add value to any sports or entertainment organization, and you'll go really far in this industry.
Yeah, I would say it's one thing I say is it's not a job. It's it's only a job if you make it a job, or you can make it a career. You can just go to work every day, 9 to 5, put in minimal effort, and then leave at the end of the day, or you can go in, bust your butt, do everything you can to grow yourself, help grow the company, and be successful and continue to grow, no matter what organization you're in. That's what you got to do. Just go in, work hard every day, and make a name for yourself. And by making a name for yourself, you're also helping out the company that you're working for, and that's going to help you move up the ranks to make a career for yourself. Or, whether you're working for that company for 10, 15 years, or you work there and you just, you continue to grow and help them, and all the way through, you just continue to work hard. So whatever you do, just work hard, put 100% effort, and go in there, enjoy it, have fun, and just know that you're helping somebody else by making a great experience for them.